A couple of weeks ago I asked for your advice about which pattern I should pick out of 3 vintage patterns for the Little Red Dress project. So do you want to know which pattern I have chosen, and also have I indeed splurged even more money on a designer fabrics? Well, let's talk about the Little Red Dress project. Hi, it's Jan from The Last Stitch. I thought it was about time that I gave you an update on how it's going with that Little Red Dress project. When I last chatted to you about it, I was asking for advice about which of the 3 vintage dress patterns I should pick. And all 3 patterns actually got a fair bit of votes, and I got a lot of feedback, excellent ideas. But one of the patterns was a clear favourite among you, and it also happens to be the one that I picked. So, drum rolls please, it's Simplicity pattern number 17914. Yes, you said it's a fun, it's a festive pattern, and it's a great template for embellishment. And I felt the same way. I thought it was a bit more exciting than the other 2, and also a bit of a different silhouette with the A-line. I usually do a bit more straight lines for most of my dresses. So that was the pattern. And as I talked about in my last video about the dress project, I also have struggled with finding the right sort of red fabric, because what I want is something that is classy, looks high quality. I preferably wanted something in wool or in silk, and that has a structure like a crepe or a piqué. I thought that wouldn't be too hard to find. Well, it turned out it was so difficult to find, because basically it seems like red fabric is usually cheap polyester in awful red colors. It's like tacky. I was so disappointed, because red can be a beautiful color, but it can also be quite yucky, if you know what I mean. It's like a cheap polyester shiny fabric, and making a dress out of that is not something that I want to waste my precious time with. So I wanted something that looks nice. So I was searching in pretty much all the fabric stores here in Gothenburg where I live. Turned out nothing. Anyways, but finally I found the perfect red fabric. So, drum roll again! Ta-da! Well, I guess the camera doesn't really do this fabric justice, but it's a gorgeous fabric. In fact, it's red wool. It's a woven fabric, but it has a structure, and it drapes beautifully. And this is, of course, not a cheap fabric. In fact, it's a pretty expensive fabric. And the seller said to me that it's actually a stock fabric from Versace. Yes, and if you know me and follow some of my other videos, you know that if they say that it's a designer fabric, in my eyes it becomes even more beautiful. I'm a bit easily led that way. So what happened was that when she said the magic words Versace and wool, I was like, okay, I'll take it. The other thing that we talked about in the last video is embellishment. So I've been thinking a lot about that, and that's the thing that I actually struggled the most with after I found the fabric. I first thought about embellishing the color which the original pattern has, but then I thought, the problem with that is that it sort of limits the use of the dress, because it can only be worn in a sort of very festive environment and not, for instance, at work or a dinner. It would become a bit too fancy, and I want to sort of move away from that and have more like wearable clothes from day to day. So I was struggling a bit with that. And then I had a bit of an epiphany, and that epiphany was detachable collar. Yes! And I was inspired by the Valentino collection, Red Valentino collection, because they have quite simple dresses, not unlike this style I'm making here. And they have super embellished colors, like wide, big, with pearls, lace, and even swans. Yes. And I thought, well, I want to do something like that too. So I thought, why not make a detachable cover and embellish it? So that's what I'm going to do. And I could show you my idea, though it's not really a good idea, because, yeah. Now you have to use your imagination, because this is not the way it will look. In fact, I will use for the color black Diponi silk, which is a very stiff silk, that I will interface with a lot of fusibles. And then I will add over the black silk fabric Gooper lace, you know, that thick, beautiful, I think it's French lace, right? So I will have that, and I bought something from eBay that hasn't arrived yet, so that's why I ask you to use your imagination here. So you can imagine a black lining, thick lace that I will sort of shape around here, and then I will add a couple of black pearls around it, not going too crazy about it, but something that makes it really special. Because that means I can actually use this color for all sort of purposes when I want to make something a bit more fancy. So that was my plans for the little red dress. Next up is making a muslin and starting working on this collar. So thank you so much for watching, and please check out my blog thelaststitch.com, where I have a lot of tutorials and other stuff about sewing, and if you want to see more videos from me, please hit subscribe. Until next time, bye bye!